Wilson, and I have a lovely card for you today. One of my favorite kind of designs is an all-white card with just a pop of color from Pixie powders, and that's what we're going to be doing today. Okay, I'll show you what we'll be using. From our finishing touches, we have the Nasturtium cluster. I'm just going to be using the flower there to make a pretty floral element to the card. The Delightful Sentiments is the stamp set. And from our frames and tags, we're going to be using Bella. This is the Gemini die called Crux we'll be using to add a really lovely element to our background. Also from the frames and tags, we have the Sophia die. And we're going to be doing just the center here out of our Noble Collection Classic Adorned Octagon. Okay. Place these over out of the way, and all I've done ahead of time is use the Crux to cut one little section out of it. So I'm going to start there and get that cut. Just taking the inside decorative piece out of this, we're going to tape it into place. A couple pieces of removable tape, just right into this corner. And before I cut it, I'll give you a quick measurement on this piece too. There we go. So I've got a piece of coconut white card that is 7 1/8 by 6 inches wide. So I'm going to go ahead and put that onto my cutting plate. You want to cut this all the way down the die, so turn it this direction. And our sandwich. There we go. Let's check it. Looks like it's well cut, and let me just take away some of these little bits and remove my tape and my other piece here. That should do the trick. So now you can see I've got a beautiful design cut into both of the corners of the card. So I'm going to come back to this in just a second, and let's get our little bit of fall away cleaned up. Okay, so next I'm going to create a Pixie powder background for it. Now I've just done this with a half sheet. One of the things I always recommend is to do a full sheet, and that way you can just grab it when you need it and it's dry, ready to go. But just for demonstrations purposes, I'm going to do a smaller sheet. I'm using Aqua, Lagoon, and Purple Violet today. And I love the way these two colors look. And if you'll notice, I've just put a piece of wax paper down. I find it's the easiest way to do this because the powder kind of gets everywhere. You want to just tap it onto your sheet and just keep moving it around. You don't want to squeeze these, although the bottles are quite a thick plastic, so they are difficult to squeeze, but resist the impulse to do that. And you can't really tell what color it is as it comes out because it's kind of actually just a sort of a grayish color. And that was the Purple Violet. So the Aqua Lagoon has a bit more of that color that it's going to be. Just keep moving it around so it mixes around. And every time you do one of these, it's going to look completely different. There we go. One of the things I like to do is tape the edges down. You'll have a little bit of a void there, but it keeps your cardstock from curling. And all you want to do is take a spritz bottle with water and just add a bit of water, and that will activate your powder. And if you get too much water, let's say you flood it and you think, oh, that's too much, you can easily just take a piece of kitchen roll, dab it up, and add a little more powder to that area. Both colors if you like, and spritz it again. So you can do this and you never can mess it up. Every time you do it, it'll be a little bit different though. A little bit more, however you like. And if you want, you can dry that with a heat tool. You can let it dry naturally. You can add another layer onto it. You can get the color really deep and intense. There's no way to go wrong with these at all. Now I've got one I've done earlier that's good and dry. Personally, I like to let these like air dry. I just think it's really pretty. If you use your heat tool, it tends to kind of move the water around a bit more. So I'm just going to move this off to the side, and I'll bring in the one I've done earlier. So you can see all the beautiful color from that. And then as it dries, the mica comes out from the product, and it really does give it a lovely shimmer. So that is going to sit behind my piece here. So I think I'll just use a little spray glue on it. go. The other thing is if you only did a small piece like this and you thought, oh, I really want to make a flower out of it, this area here is completely hidden. You could actually cut it right out of the center too, so don't forget that. Pop that right over the top. There we go. I think that's seated on there nicely. Okay, go ahead and put that onto my backing now. So I've decided just to go with a white on white because that Pixie powder is just such a beautiful pop of color. I didn't want to take away from that. Put that right in the middle. There we go. Okay, so next I have gone ahead and I've cut the Sophia, and I've used the 2 decorative dies, this one here and this one here, with the outside cutting edge to give this beautiful design. Okay, and I've got a backing, so I'm going to do a white on white backing. Use a little glue on it. And we will put that together. Get it all lined up nice and straight. A little bit off there. There we go. Bit of mounting foam on the back, so I'm going to go ahead and put that right into the middle of the card. So it'll just sort of overlap both of those areas, but I think that looks really pretty. Then I cut the Bella, and this one, I use the outside with the inner cutting edge to create this. And I've added just a little bit of mounting foam around the edge to raise that up. So I'll just peel the backing off of these. It's a very, very thin, probably 1/8 inch edge on it, but you can add mounting foam to that. And I'm going to just seat that right over the center here. So you'll still see the center design coming through, but you'll kind of get a lovely mixture of the 2 dies there. So the next thing I've done is I've used the larger die to create this little frame here for my sentiment. So I've stamped the Your Special to Me. So I'm going to go ahead and put this over the top. And I tell you what, let's just use some spray glue. I'm going to put that right over the top of that, and then we'll trim around the edge. Get that nice and centered. And I've cut several of these just to give it a little bit of dimension and stack them up. So I'm just going to bring my scissors in at an angle here, trim them, and just use the edge of the die to trim against. There we go. And put that right into the middle of our Sophia and Isabella die. Piece of mounting foam. And what I wanted to do was really bring that to life. So I cut an extra little ring out of the piece of Pixie powder that I had done earlier, and just gives it a nice little pop. So let me just see, I'll put a little bit of our cosmic glue on this with our fine liner. Really get that stuck down nicely. There, and one more side. Okay. And that will really, really bring that color tone in. And I wanted to add a little bit of an accent. So I cut a few flowers here out of a bit. I always keep like a little piece of this left over. And I'm going to bring in my glue, and I'm going to make a quick little flower. Now these are the flower from the Nasturtium. So I've cut 4 of these, and I'm just going to put a little bit of a bend upside down. So it's kind of an upside down V in 2 of these. Add a little bit of glue, get that started right into the top petals of that one. Do another one just like that. There we go. And I'm just using my fingernail to push in the center, and my 2 fingers to kind of bring it up around there. And I'm just going to put some more glue up on the inside of those petals, and one right in the middle I'm going to set those aside to start to get that glue all tacky. And the last two of these, I'm going to fold them over my fingernail and just give them a little bit of a bend this direction. So from the top downward. I'm going to put on the third one here a little bit of glue in the center, and right up onto the edge of that petal, put a little drop of dry clear glue. And this last one, we're going to do the same exact sort of forming with it. There we go. Oops. And just need a spot of glue right in the middle. Okay, so by the time you get to that last one, this first one should be tacky enough you can start with it. So I'm going to hold it upside down like this, and I'm just going to squeeze all of those petals in so they form a very tight bud at the top. So it just takes a little bit of kind of moving it around between your fingers until you can get that tip of that really nice and tight. There we go. I think I'm getting there. And the bottom of it should be fairly flat, so it'll even sit on your finger like that. Okay. Then I'm going to take that one, I'm going to sit that right into the center of the next one, and I'm going to fold those petals up around it as well. And it's a little fiddly. You have to just sort of hold on to it as you form them. They're not going to go up as high because you've got the bulk from the first one in there, but you're going to start to see something that looks like a fatter little bud emerging. There you go. Just keep hold of that. And if you get glue popping out the top, don't worry, it dries perfectly clear. You won't even see it. So I've got the bud there. So now this one that I've done the glue up on the edges, I'm going to sit this right into the middle, and I'm going to hold these, just hold them upward till they start to glue kind of coming out from there. So it'll pretty much look about like that. And from there, I'm going to offset that one onto the last one, and that will create my little flower. There you go. Now I've got one I've already done that, oops, excuse me, that's good and dry. So I will go ahead and use this one while that one dries well. And I've got a little white satin ribbon bow I've tied. I'm going to seat that right off to the edge of my sentiment on here, about like that, and just sort of spread the bows out. And we can put that little flower right in the center of that to add a nice little touch of color. Not overwhelming, but really nice. And then to finish it off, what I think looks really pretty is to take some little 5mm pearls and just put 3 of them in a row up here, and 3 of them in a row in the opposite corner. And it just gives a lovely little corner accent. There we go. And you have it, your finished, beautiful card. I think the colors in this are absolutely stunning. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Look for us on our YouTube channel. We have so many more there for you.